So first, TikTok. So the state of play on that. So today, Trump announced that both TikTok and WeChat will be have to be removed from the app stores, Google App Store and iPhone app stores. I don't know, right about now, I think almost immediately. And they're going to do other things that, in effect, disable or compromise the functionality of WeChat right away. And then things are going to be done comparably to TikTok after the election. Now, that's interesting. Okay, so here's what basically happened. So, as you know, Trump basically said, we're going to, weeks and weeks ago said, we're going to shut down TikTok unless it's sold to an American company. China, the Chinese government a few weeks ago, and it looked like Microsoft was going to buy it for a while. Chinese government came back and said, well, we decided we're not going to let TikTok export its intellectual property to the United States. We have doubts about that. In other words, you're not going to get a hold of the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. So that meant like a flat out, they did various things to make the flat out sale scenario difficult. And at the time I thought, wow, they're calling Trump's bluff. They realize, Trump had said you got to sell by mid-September or TikTok is gone. And I thought, maybe China understands that he's not going to have the nerve to shut down TikTok before the election. There are tens and millions of happy TikTok users, including some Trump supporters and some undecided voters. And I wondered if China was doing that. And interestingly, so meanwhile, there's an important subplot I want to get back to, which is that Oracle becomes the lead candidate for doing some kind of deal with TikTok that would allow it to survive. Oracle's chairman, Larry Ellison, is a Trump fundraiser, and Oracle's CEO actually worked with the Trump transition team. Okay, so they're on a committee, a Trump transition team committee. So there's a deep connection between Oracle and Trump. And Trump
Let's not overdo it. Transition teams, there are hundreds of people who work with transition teams. It's
fine, but Trump publicly gives Oracle its blessing. His blessing, which it doesn't do with Microsoft. Okay. And suddenly, lo and behold, Oracle is in the lead. It looks like Oracle is going to get it. And by the way, that's probably still going to happen. But interestingly, what Trump has done is he did go ahead and either shut down or deeply compromise WeChat, like as of now, before the election, because the only people who care about that are a relatively small number of Asian Americans who use it to communicate with their relatives and friends in China and probably wouldn't vote for him anyway. But he decided that nothing serious is going to happen to TikTok until after the election. I mean, you can't download it now, but everybody who's already got it doesn't need to download it. So there's all of that. But
where are you going with this? You're saying that this whole thing is bullshit?
Well, I want to say...
there are people who say that.
No, I don't think it's all bullshit. But Trump did back down. He had said he's going to shut TikTok down mid-September. China called his bluff. He said not really. Okay? Now, he can plausibly shut it down in November because that's after the election.
But what does this have to do with Oracle? Oracle is some kind of vague partner. They didn't buy it.
Let me get back to that. What
are they, as Matt Stoller says, what are they going to do? Share a pizza? I mean, what are they doing?
Let me get back to that. I think in almost any scenario, so it's looking like it's not going to be an out-and-out sale. That didn't make sense anyway for various reasons. But it does look like Oracle, all of the data, all of the U.S. TikTok operation is going to be in the U.S. Oracle is going to control it. They're going to vouch for the security of the data and that Americans' data aren't going anywhere where they shouldn't go. And they're going to get some kind of stake probably in ByteDance, the Chinese owner of TikTok. But it seems to me likely in any scenario that Oracle is going to have the power to exert some degree of control on the TikTok content. The power to just say, nope, this, the way Mark Zuckerberg now does sometimes. He just kills certain things and Trump people complain about it. Sometimes they probably should. I think Oracle is going to have that power. And again, Larry Ellis, both the chairman and the CEO of Oracle, are Trump supporters. And I just want to review how this came to be, okay? Trump said basically, hey, nice social media company you got there. Be a shame if something bad was to happen to it and it wasn't to be allowed to operate in America unless maybe you deliver it to the control of my political cronies. And now that's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying this is going to wind up being hugely consequential. Maybe it won't, even if Trump is reelected. TikTok isn't a highly political thing, although Sarah Cooper, Trump's nemesis, got her start there. It can become, any social media can become very political. And I'm just saying that Trump did this thing that was weird and heavy-handed to begin with, of just saying to a company, as it happens, a foreign company, I'm going to shut this down unless you sell it to such and such. And the result of that is going to be that Trump has coerced a company into delivering a major social media platform to the control of his supporters. And even if nothing bad comes of this, it's a really bad precedent. It's one of many cases where Trump, helps American political norms evolve in a bad direction. And you're gonna tell me like it's no big deal, as you always do. But the thing is, it's not even getting any attention because Trump is so busy breaking norms in so many places.
It's getting some attention, but
no. Who is saying what I just said? Who is saying what I just said?
I've seen it on. You've said it more clearly than I've seen it on Twitter, but I've seen a lot of talk about how Larry Ellison is a Trump guy. So he's delivered 1 out of 5 social media sites into his supporters. The other 4 are controlled by his enemies. The idea that Trump is going to be able to craft this alternative reality where black is white and white is black, and I think it's overblown. I think it's hard to control what goes on TikTok. They'd be very hard put to they can ban Sarah Cooper, but beyond that, they can't ban all the Sarah Cooper wannabes. I don't think. And so, yeah, it's a bad precedent. The Democrats have their own. He's not the first person to try to exercise the government power this way.
Who else did this?
Well, the most famous one was. I'm maybe garbling my scandals, but the IT&T scandal of Nixon. Right before one of his nominating conventions, he had Felix Rohatyn, who was at the time called Felix the Fixer. He was not a great statesman at the time. Cut some sort of deal with AT&T. Now, what was the media
ITT,
connection?
International Telephone?
Yeah.
But that wasn't a content. That wasn't. There was no content control there. There may have been some content,
but he was.
That was just a commercial.
Nixon was always trying to intimidate the networks. Presidents always try to intimidate the networks,
Well, and they had control in the old days. The FCC,
right.
The networks answer to the FCC.
So I think there is a tradition of this flouting of scrupulous rules. And if you talk to real politicos who like real advisors, they completely acknowledge that so and so is our company. Pepsi's our company, Coke is their company.
But none of those have the kind of influence as social media.
I know, but they do that with networks too. So it's
clearly media properties do. But it's
I'm obviously not up on the IT&T scandal, but I will. I won't talk about it in the Parrot Room, but I will know about it by next week.
And you might talk about it in the Parrot Room.